Getting to the facts and how an investigation is supposed to go and whether this qualifies. January 10th, this year apparently, again, last Tuesdayism, news reporters can't put in the 4-digit year and a 4-digit date, 8 digits, instead of putting in last Tuesday. January 10th, on LaTarsha Brown's desk at Allentown City Hall, a 1 by 3 inch loop of cordage was found. It's not a rope. It's too tiny. It's not a rope. Shut up. And it's also a type of knot, if you're looking at it, that particular type, because it's actually 2 loops that are bound into the same knotting with a strain relief. This is also a type of knot that's can be used, nobody really uses it, but it can be used for deep sea fishing with 2 hooks, which is against the rules on some coastlines. But anyway, let's move on. DNA swabs of both the outer surface and the inner knotted portion, which required it be taken apart to do that, were used to create DNA profiles. Every employee who could have accessed the desk was asked to submit their DNA to the Pennsylvania State Police Crime Lab. All of them did, except Miss Brown, who was the intended target, apparently. At that moment, she requested the investigation be discontinued, which is not how it works. Is this a city, county, state, or federal location that has experienced a hate crime? By law, they can't drop the case because that would show complicity. They're not allowed to. They can't. Lehigh County District Attorney's Office then had to get a search warrant to force Brown to submit DNA data. It was collected and submitted to the crime lab. It matched. Now, I'm going to point out a couple of things here. If I was going to open my mouth about this, which I'm going to. It was found at her desk. Every one of you that has a desk at a business location, you take the keyboard, you flip it upside down over the garbage can when you're on break. Tell them, yeah, I'm on break. I don't care. And you start tapping out all the dust and debris out of it. You unplug it if you can get away with it. You take it outside and you hit it with a can of air while it's upside down to knock every bit of everything out of it. Then you wipe everything clean with a toothbrush and do it again. Then you go over it with an antiseptic wipe. This makes a cleaner environment. You clean every single surface once a month. I did it once a week. When asked why, I said, I'm not explaining it to you unless you pay me literally $1,000 and you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Why? Because, again, that's another answer you're not getting unless you pay me $1,000 for my expertise. You just got $1,000 worth of advice. Go with it. Every screen, every keyboard, every mouse. If you can legally get away with it at your business location, request that they buy a brand new keyboard every month. It's $5 stinking goddamn dollars, and let you own the keyboard. Clean your desk fully. Your DNA won't be there for someone to find. But because it's on the inside of the knotted portion of this loop, it's a string loop. It's not a rope. Please, please, please understand that trigger words are in use there. Stop using trigger words. It's a fishing knot, poorly done, I might point out, with the wrong kind of cloth or cordage or whatever, the wrong fiber material. We'll get into that in a minute. Some of you fly fishers know what I just talked about. Okay, now, don't go into it. I don't do that anymore. I'm no longer a fisher person. I went into therapy. So let's move on. It's called going through hell. DNA swabs of the outside and of the desk should have been done. You immediately assume that the desk you found it on is going to have DNA primarily from one person, but you check all of them. Then you compare it to what doesn't show up on the knot. If it matches everything from the desk, or the majority of it, you don't have DNA data for a different person. This is immediate tip-off. You're probably dealing with something that was either A, somehow this knot tying activity that's very challenging was done while wearing very, very clean gloves that left nothing behind in fiber form, including residue that would say it was done with a set of gloves. I don't know if you know this, but the plastic gloves, rubber gloves you see in the movies, they leave residue. The residue is trackable on purpose. For legal and medical reasons, they make it traceable so that you can figure out if someone had a glove on that was from the wrong manufacturer or whatever. The ones that are used, hint, hint, for doing microprocessors are the only ones that leave no residue, and they still leave residue from the rubber or the neoprene or whatever it is itself. And it's not just one material. And they're expensive and worth every stinking penny. So, January 10th, they found a 1 by 3 inch loop. Looking at the picture, which I will use for the thumbnail, shows you the scale. It's really tiny. And it's not made in the way that it would self-close. It's not a slip knot, I don't believe. I would have to see them hold it and do it. I don't think so. Maybe it is. That's cool. But the point is, what it looks like is a double loop used for putting hooks on. DNA swabs of the outside surface and the inner knotted portion that was only available after taking it apart showed consistent DNA profiles. That's the wording that's used. Every employee who could access the desk was asked to submit DNA. She refused and then requested the investigation be discontinued. That last sentence is exactly the problem. The first thing I'd say is, yeah, it's found on my desk. I haven't cleaned it in a week, so you're going to have to take my DNA to confirm that, to minus me out of this. Okay. That's all I'd ever say about it. If they ask me, well, do you know anything about it? I would just play dumb and say, I don't know anything about it. It doesn't matter if I've tied knots or whatever. Everything you say to the police will be used against you, not for you. If you're the victim of a crime, you get a lawyer too, because the police are going to ask you questions because they're trying to make sure you're not lying to them. They need to do that as proactively as possible, which means they're going to be mean to you, which is wrong and terrible if you're a victim. But if you're not a victim, they're going to find out. Get your lawyer to lawyer up for you and act as a filter. And he's going to say, yeah, you submitted these answers to me. None of them are going through because they all make you look bad. Every employee said sure, because they knew damn good well they didn't do it. But they shouldn't have done it. Why? Because maybe they touched the desk. They have to test the inside and outside of the knot and every surface on that computer keyboard rest. It was a slide out rest under the desk. It's not on the desk. It was left behind where the keyboard would be to where it'd be easily hidden to where you'd have to pull out the keyboard to see it. And it was this big. It's a little dinky loop about that big. Now, if you're not aware of it, there's a rope art version of the Anka or Ankh symbol. That's the same shape almost. It's just missing the bows on the side. So I would look for anybody with a little bit of history making things out of wire or cordage or going fishing. That's what I would do if I was reinvestigating this. Next thing is, if they didn't find anybody else's DNA, the knot is just complicated enough. No, somebody wouldn't have been able to do that with gloves on unless they had really strong level of practice. They would have a history annoying their neighbors and friends about how much rope work they do and how much knot work they do and how they can make really cool things with, oh, that's right, you could use knitting needles to make this? Yes. Again, it's not rope, it's almost thread, it's fat thread, which means what you're looking at, that's fishing fishing leader material. That's literally the same thing. Does she have a history of going off fishing? Because that's almost exactly a fishing knot done badly. With a very evenly spaced double loop. That would clinch it. I'd say, so do you have any pictures in your house showing you holding up fish? Why are you asking? That means we're going to submit a request to see all the pictures. Oh, look, all the pictures of you fishing. Oh, look, it's the same damn knot because you illegally fished with 2 hooks in that particular river. Depending on where you are, this is perfectly acceptable. Usually they're not put right next to each other. They're put offset. Doing them dead straight is really difficult. That knot was done in such a way that they would be perfectly straightened out and dead even. That means they were pulled a certain way. I'm not an expert in the subject. It's not like I spent years and years learning this shit. I don't even know the name of the knot. Also, we're not allowed to use certain words in YouTube videos because the algorithm will flag us for hate speech. So that and the fact that she started getting evasive and requested the investigation be ended. Did this result in the FBI doing a DNA test? I don't know. I didn't see the FBI mentioned once, but that's what's going to be in the title because other people are posting that. Because even if you get dead bang proof someone faked a story like this, you assholes out there with your propaganda know that the keyword FBI and BLM, just putting those 6 letters in the video's title, will get you more views, so I'm going to use it too. There's no mention of BLM. There's no mention of FBI. But I'm going to include it to say, why did you have to lie when you were? You could have won, but you just like the devil, you can't go 2 seconds without telling a lie or your tongue will explode. Is it a bit of propaganda that's being pushed on YouTube today? Yes. Am I trying to get hate views? Okay, accuse me of that. But in January, February, March, and yeah, this was done a while ago. Why is it being brought up now? Because it was properly an insulated investigation where they were trying to figure out what's going on, and for a good reason. The instant somebody of a particular variety in our society, it looks like a victim, you're not going to get rational behavior out of people. That includes kids, by the way. Sometimes it's appropriate for us to just lock things down and say, yeah, we're going to investigate it privately, pseudo-privately or secretly. Sometimes it's absolutely not. In this case, they did their job, but does it say FBI DNA test? Does it say the BLM is angry and sad? Owning the libs? I'll put that in the title too. But what happened is someone almost immediately, after being confronted with needing a DNA test to exclude yourself, refused to do it. I would have immediately said, yeah, DNA test me because this is my desk and my DNA is all over it. That's what you're supposed to do. So again, if something like this happens to you at your workplace, you should have sterilized everything to where your DNA doesn't even show up. But submit a DNA test immediately. But don't mention you went fishing. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. You'll need it.